Welcome in to the weekly Main Street Media TV high school football wrap-up show. We'll be checking into all corners of Middle Tennessee, where our sports editors and our sports reporters will share with us how each team from Main Street Media coverage areas did on the football field last week. If you're seeing this in Middle Tennessee, chances are Main Street Media has a newspaper that serves your community. So go to mainstreetmediatn.com to find the local Main Street paper in your area. When you find it, you may just sign up for a subscription to keep up with all the news and sports coverage we've got lined up for you. Okay, let's get this week's high school football wrap started and head on over to Wade Neely in western Middle Tennessee.
What's up, folks? Wade Neely here. I'm your sports editor down in Hickman County, over in Dickson County, and in Cheatham County here, and it's time for a recap of what we saw on the gridiron in week 6 of the high school football season. The game that everybody's talking about, and not just because it was a 1-point victory, but we'll get into the other here in a moment. 31-30, Sycamore outlasting Fairview in an epic showdown in Region 6 AAA. It was Sycamore coming from behind, Fairview coming from behind. I mean, these guys were trading scores all night long, and Sycamore ends up getting the 1-point victory. Hicks Hunter, he has over 100 yards. He always has over 100 yards. That's now 11 straight games as he finishes with 125 on the ground Friday night. Also had a touchdown rushing. He had a touchdown on defense with a 72-yard interception return. And just for good measure, he throws the game-winning touchdown as Sycamore again defeats Fairview in an epic game, 31-30. That was the story in the game. Coming out of the game, a lot of controversy, a lot of buzz, even some viral clips on social media as a Sycamore player was ejected after leaving the sideline in the middle of a play and making an open field tackle on a Fairview interception return. Crazy turn of events, led to a lengthy delay. Our good friend and colleague Casey Patrick was on hand for that game, so be sure and head over to the Cheatham County Exchange and read Casey's recap from an epic game with a little dash of crazy mixed in on Friday night. Meanwhile, I was on hand in Cheatham County on Friday night, and it was all Camden as the Tigers absolutely ran wild. The Lions, beg pardon, ran wild all over the Cubs. 41-7 was your final there. Meanwhile, closing out Cheatham County, Harpeth with a nice win. It was homecoming on Friday night. They got a big dub, defeating Stewart County 21-8. John Michael Neely doing some great things on the ground. Freshman Maddox Wilson continuing to develop. The offense not where it really wants to be, but its defense is keeping it close enough, and Harpeth wins another big game. Kudos to Coach Moorhead and the Indians on winning that one. Finally, I'll close you guys out by talking about Hickman County. The Bulldogs picked up a big win just a week prior, knocking off Montgomery Central down in Centerville. They could not stretch it to 2 in a row. It was 43-0 as they fall to East Robertson. But trust me when I tell you this. I know it was a region loss, and you never want to lose a game, but they will not be the only team that's on the wrong end of an East Robertson beatdown this season as the Indians remain undefeated. They have proven yet again to be another power in Class 2A football, and so Hickman County falls in that one again, 43-0. If you missed any of these stories, make sure you check out the Hickman County Times website, the Dickson Post, and the Cheatham County Exchange. That's a recap from Week 6. Wade Neely signing out.
Thank you, Wade. Casey Patrick is also in western Middle Tennessee.
Hi, my name is Casey Patrick. I'm a sports reporter for the Dickson Post, Cheatham County Exchange, and the Hickman County Times. I'm going to give you all a quick rundown in just a few of the games we had this past weekend in my coverage area. We'll start with Dickson County at Kirkwood. The Cougars lost 49-14 in a region game. Creekwood also in a region game, also on the road at Spring Hill, lost 42-34. And the final game is East Hickman. East Hickman lost at home to East Nashville 34-0. Y'all have fun. We'll see you this Friday.
Okay, Casey, we've got some amazing sponsors, so let's take a moment to hear from them.
He shoots, and he scores!
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Welcome back, and Maurice Patton is here to tell us all about the action down in southern Middle Tennessee.
High school football week 6 in southern Middle Tennessee got started on Thursday night as Tullahoma and host Lawrence County met up in a Region 4-5A matchup. And despite 181 rushing yards and a touchdown from Carter Pettigrew, the host Wildcats fell to the visiting Wildcats 28-14. A couple of second half turnovers kind of undid Lawrence County as they fell for the second straight week, both in region action after losing at Columbia Central the week before. But also, Marvancy Johnson didn't help matters for Lawrence County. The Tullahoma running back rushing for 131 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Again, Tullahoma 28, Lawrence County 14 in Region 4-5A action on Thursday night. Lawrence County falling to 4-2 after starting the year 4-0. Both those losses again in region play. So tough outcome for the host Wildcats there, 28-14 falling to Tullahoma. On Friday, Zion Christian liked winning so much that they did it again this weekend, going up to Innovation Academy in Springfield, picking up a 28-8 victory there. Quarterback Kingston Denny throwing for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jonas Chapek rushing for 92 yards and a touchdown. And again, Zion Christian picking up their second straight victory, 28-8 at Innovation Academy. Ditto for Spring Hill. The Raiders, coming off of a road win at Maplewood, came home for a Region 5-4A contest against Creekwood. And in a shootout, the Raiders prevailed 42-34 in that one. Played 3 different guys at quarterback and got production out of each of them. Jonah Gibson, the freshman, rushes for 122 yards and a pair of touchdowns, throws for 3rd. Junior Lionel Brooks ran for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jacob Hitty came off the bench and threw what turned out to be the winning touchdown, a 37-yard middle screen to Anthony Tran for the win. There, 37 yards there for Jacob Hitty. Spring Hill 42, Creekwood 34, the final there. The Raiders improving to 2-4 on the year, 1-0 in Region 5-4A action. Creekwood falling to 1-5 and 1-1 with that loss. Again, Spring Hill picking up their second straight win after going up to Maplewood and winning in week 5. Mount Pleasant continuing its winning ways with a 48-0 homecoming victory over Scotts Hill. Again, points aplenty for the Tigers as they posted their 4th 40-point game of the season there. Peyton Niehaus with a couple of touchdown receptions, 4 catches for 85 yards, also returned a punt for a score, and Mount Pleasant just poured it on winless Scotts Hill. The Tigers improving to 5-1 on the season, 3-0 in Region 5-2A play with that win. Scotts Hill falling to 0-6 and 0-3. In Region 5-1A action, Richland defeats Eagleville 37-7. The Raiders get a couple of special teams plays as well, as Aylin Kennedy returned a kickoff 87 yards for a score, and Chase Thomason blocked a punt and recovered it in the end zone for a touchdown. So special teams rearing its head for the Raiders in that 37-7 Region 5-1A win over Eagleville. Richland improving to 4-2 overall, 1-1 in region play. Eagleville falls to 3-3, 1-1 with the loss. In a non-region matchup at the Brickyard, it was Giles County stopping Lincoln County's early run, 28-20. The Bobcats snapping a 2-game skid and again handing Lincoln County its first loss of the season. Xavier Randolph rushed for a touchdown, threw for a touchdown. Dallas Buckner scored a couple of short yardage running touchdowns as the Bobcats improved to 2-3 after having lost their last 2 outings. Again, Lincoln County falls to 5-1 with that loss. In Region 6-6A action, Independence and Franklin scored all of their points in the first half, so if you got there late, you missed it. But Independence comes out with a 21-7 victory over the visiting Admirals there. Eli Garlington, 119 rushing yards, got the scoring started for the Eagles with a touchdown as they picked up their second straight win, both in region play. That's their second straight win, both in region play. Independence 3-2 overall, 2-1 in the region. Franklin falling to 1-5 and 0-4 with that loss. Excuse me. Also in Region 6-6A action, it was Shelbyville defeating Summit 24-17. Shelbyville getting 254 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns out of Robert Bailey to offset a Davis Smith 202-yard passing performance with a pair of touchdowns, both of those to Michael Crutcher, who finished up with 7 catches, 450 yards, and the 2 scores. Again, Shelbyville 24, Summit 17. Shelbyville improves to 3-3 on the year, 3-1 in region action. Summit slips to 1-5 and 0-3 with the loss. Also in Region 5-4A, it was Marshall County all over Battle Creek, 56-0. The Tigers improved into 3-3, picking up their first region win. The Grizzlies fall into 1-5 and 0-2 in region play. Columbia Central goes over to Riverdale and drops a 41-7 decision to the Warriors. The Central Lions fall to 2-3 with that loss. Riverdale improving to 4-2 with the win. Ex-Loretto receiver Corbin Reynolds catches 5 balls for 150 yards and a pair of touchdowns for the Warriors in that victory. Central led 7-3 at one point, but couldn't come up with much else against the host Raiders. Again, Riverdale 41, Columbia Central 7. In Region 5-2A action, Loretto lost a tough one on the road, 23-20 at Decatur County Riverside, despite getting a pair of pick sixes, one from Dylan Thompson for 75 yards, one from Braden Bennett for 57 yards. Meanwhile, quarterback Ben Lyles threw for 207 yards and a touchdown, but Loretto falls at Decatur County Riverside 23-20. Riverside, their first win of the season, they go to 1-5 overall and 1-2 in region play. Loretto falls to 2-4 overall and 1-1 in the region. Also in Region 5-2A, it was Lewis County all over visiting Summertown, 51-0. The Eagles with just 97 offensive yards and committed an early turnover that turned into a scoop and score for the Panthers as they stayed unbeaten at 6-0 on the season, 3-0 in region play. Summertown falls to 3-3, 1-2. Finally, in Division 2A middle region action, Columbia Academy drops their 4th straight region game, their 5th straight overall, falling at Good Pasture 42-7. Good Pasture improving to 5-1 on the year, 2-1 in region action. Columbia Academy, falls to 1-5 and 0-4, despite 89 rushing yards from Aiden Honeycutt. That's your recap for Week 6 out of Southern Middle Tennessee. I'm Maurice Patton. We'll see y'all later this week.
Thank you, Maurice. Now here's Calvin White in Northwest Middle Tennessee with the help of some students at Austin Peay State University to tell us how their teams fared last week.
Hello everybody, this is Calvin White, Northwest Regional Sports Editor for Main Street Preps, here to give you a quick recap of all of the Week 6 high school football action in Montgomery, Robertson, and Houston County. We're going to start over in Robertson County. Pearl Cone goes on the road to Springfield and hands the Yellow Jackets their first loss of the season. Pearl Cone took over late in that one to win 35-33 on the road. East Robertson stays undefeated. They move to 6-0 with a 43-0 shutout win over Hickman County. Quarterback Cason Young accounted for 5 touchdowns in that one for the Indians. White House Heritage gets its first region win of the year with an 11-8 win over Maplewood. Quarterback Xavier Murray found Logan McCarter late in the game to push the Patriots past Maplewood 11-8. Christian Community wins 23-21 over Joe Burns despite 200 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns from Red Devils running back Kavion Broxton. Christian Community takes that one 23-21. White House wins big over Glencliff 37-0. Liberty Creek shuts out Greenbrier 28-0. And in Thursday night football, Zion Christian won 28-8 over Innovation Academy. Over in Houston County, the Fighting Irish won 32-7 over Cornersville. Fighting Irish running back Preston Mitchell rushed for 232 yards and 2 touchdowns on 10 carries, while also having 11 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 interceptions in that one. For Houston County, the Fighting Irish moved to 3-3 after that win. Moving over to Montgomery County, Kirkwood got its revenge on Dixon County from last year's 17-14 loss. The Cobras won big over the Cougars 49-14 Friday night. Miles Redding, Josiah Claybrooks both had big nights for the Cougars. Miles Redding threw 4 touchdowns through the air. Josiah Claybrooks rushed for 100 yards and 3 scores. Over in Mount Juliet, the Golden Bears get their first win of the year. They beat Northeast 44-12. Now we're going to kick it over to some of our students from Austin Peay. They're going to give you recaps from the rest of the Week 6 games in Montgomery County. As always, I'm Calvin White. I'll talk to you again soon.
It's the 56th annual homecoming here at Clarksville Northwest High as the Vikings take on the Knights of Kenwood High. The Knights off to a rough start with a bad snap on 4th down. Few plays later into the second quarter, senior quarterback Christian James, a.k.a. Sauce, with the quarterback keeper to the end zone for the touchdown. Senior running back DeMarcus Andrews trying to keep the Vikings alive in this game, but gets the ball punched out for the fumble as the Knights recover in Vikings territory. Few plays later, Sauce finds Christian Simpson in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. DeMarcus Andrews with a nice run, but coughs the ball up again, recovered by the Knights. But Sauce gives the ball right back to the Vikings. Sophomore DB Jack Green with the interception. Late in the third quarter, Sauce with another quarterback keeper into the end zone for the touchdown as the Knights dominate all in this game over the Vikings. It was a packed house here at Northwest High School. It was their homecoming, but they fall short to Kenwood, 31-0. Kenwood moves to 1-1 in the conference, and Northwest falls to 0-2 in conference. Reporting from Northwest High School, I'm Jeremy Daves.
The Montgomery Central Indians hosted the Clarksville Academy Cougars for their homecoming game Friday night. It was a defensive battle early, with both teams trading turnovers before Clarksville Academy finally struck first. The Cougars took control heading into halftime with a pair of rushing touchdowns to lead 14-0. Montgomery Central fought back in the second half behind 2 rushing scores from Alosi Laban, but a safety, a dropped touchdown, and a muffed punt proved costly. The final for Montgomery Central High School, Clarksville Academy 23, Indians 16. With the win, the Cougars improved to 3-3, while Montgomery Central falls to 1-5. I'm Tristan Gonzalez, reporting.
The Rossview Hawks dominated under the Friday night lights, shutting out the McGavick Raiders 39-0 on their home turf. Number 7, Beckett Hasselhun kicked things off with the first touchdown, and number 23, Ethan Cox followed with their first PAT. Number 28, Kane Payne, added another 6 and a 2-point conversion to close the first quarter at 15-0. The Hawks' defense held strong, stopping multiple Raider drives. In the second, number 3, CJ Stuckey charged to the 1-yard line, setting up quarterback number 9, Dawson Deere, for a touchdown. Cox nailed a buzzer-beater field goal, sending Rossview into halftime up 25. The momentum continued with Payne scoring again early in the third, and Cox staying perfect on extra points. A recovered fumble in the fourth led to Stuckey's second touchdown, sealing the shutout. Rossview's offense was electric and their defense impenetrable.
I'm Jasmine Logan reporting.
This past Friday, number 6 ranked West Creek hosted the top-ranked Clarksville High in a division showdown. The Clarksville Wildcats improved to 4-2 on the season with a dominant 34-0 shutdown victory. 2 of those touchdowns came from CHS's number 7 Jamarcus Watkins, who scored with a 1-yard run and later a 6-yard pass from number 3 Caden Pledger. Clarksville's defense came up big with 2 interceptions, both by number 14 Wyatt Wooten. Despite the loss, West Creek's defense put up a fight, with an interception by number 12 Trayvon Anthony at the 1-yard line. And the Coyotes came up with 3 fumble recoveries, making sure the Wildcats had to earn every point. Clarksville definitely proved why they're number 1 with dominant offense and lockdown defense, while West Creek showed grit and resilience on every snap. Up next, West Creek hits the road to face McGavick on October 3rd, while Clarksville travels to Siegel on October 2nd.
I'm Braylon Ryan reporting.
Thank you, Calvin, and the Austin P students for that great report. We're going to stop here for just a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
And we are back, and we're ready to go over to Blaine Kellar in North Central Middle Tennessee.
FRA's second half shutout and 2 late touchdowns by tailback Quadir Fletcher helped push the Panthers past previously unbeaten BGA 21-14. That game was part of a surprising schedule overall in Davidson and Williamson counties, a lot of which we have coverage for. It's part of the North Central region of Main Street Prep. Some sports editor Blaine Kellar breaking down some scores and more from the Nashville area, as well as Sumner County. BGA and FRA was one of the big games on tap in Division II AA, with FRA staying unbeaten, winning against Bobby Bentley and the Wildcats, getting that final 21-14. In D2 AAA, Brentwood Academy downed Ensworth 37-7 as its defense continued to dominate and played for each other, as our Jack Williams writes. Ravenwood, with an overtime win over CPA, stayed perfect. The Raptors did, that being a 28-21 final score. Boston College commitment Femi Babalola at quarterback continuing to power the Raptors as they remain undefeated. Other game in Davidson and Williamson that you can find in Main Street Nashville as well as Main Street Preps. Cam Cruz and James Pierre each accounted for 3 touchdowns as the Patriots, also unbeaten, defeated Centennial and transferred quarterback Mitchell Grandjean 52-17. Now looking at the Sumner County schedule, which you can find in print in the Gallatin News, Hendersonville Standard, and Portland Sun, as well as on those websites and MainStreetPreps.com. Was Beach winning 42-0 over Hunters Lane in region action. The Buccaneers mainly played reserved players, but continued to build on their winning streak and started strong in league play. Hendersonville and Portland played close to a year after the Commandos stunned the Panthers at home. This time, Portland taking care of business, winning 17-7. Their special teams, their defense played a big part in that win. Gallatin and Station Camp was one of two rivalry games in the county. The battle for the Mayor's Cup was without quarterback and VMI commitment Jackson Strout, who underwent surgery for a fractured tibia. His replacement, Kayshawn Barksdale, rushed for over 200 yards and had 3 total touchdowns as the Green Wave defeated Station Camp. The final score in that one, 35-25. Sam Bowers scored all 5 touchdowns for JP2 as the Knights picked up their first win in the Bishop's Cup rivalry over Father Ryan since 2022. He racked up over 230 yards receiving, had a 40-yard rush as well. JP2 wins that one 38-7. Running through the other scores in Sumner, Liberty Creek blanked Greenbrier 28-0 for a needed region win, as well as one to snap a losing streak for the Wolves and Bill Alexander. White House 37-0 winners over Glencliff. Adley Pond and company also picking up a much-needed win at that point. Westmoreland fell in multiple overtimes to Whites Creek in a battle of two of the top teams in their region. Dion Barnes and the Cobras pulled away late from Ryan Harris's squad. And I think that'll do us for Sumner County, for Nashville, Davidson, and Williamson, our north central region of Main Street Preps. Again, you can find coverage of most, if not all of those games on our site and in print. Be sure to check us out. Be sure to stay tuned for our preview show in a couple of days, getting ready for Week 7. That's it for Week 6. We'll see ya.
Thanks, Blaine. And here's David Wilson in East Middle Tennessee to wrap us up this week.
Everybody, this is David Wilson, East Middle Tennessee Regional Sports Editor for Main Street Preps. Here to give you a quick recap of all the Week 6 games across Wilson and Rutherford County this week. There were 4 region games in Wilson County this week. We'll start in Division II Single A, where Friendship Christian moved to 2-0 in region play and 5-1 overall with a 28-13 win on Bell Road Friday night against Ezo Harding. Freshman running back Ryder Walcott rushed for 30 times for 161 yards and 3 touchdowns. In this one, he had runs of 4, 1, and 15 yards to open up a 28-7 lead for the Commanders in the fourth quarter. Junior quarterback Blake Waldorf was 4 of 9 passing for 56 yards and 1 touchdown. In this one, he threw that one to Braden Stringer. Staying in Division II Single A, it was DCA, the next opponent for Friendship Christian at Porterfield this upcoming Friday. They were all over Mount Juliet Christian Academy, 56-0. The Wildcats quarterback Blake Horton was 5 of 9 passing for 150 yards and 3 scores. The Wildcats also had 165 yards rushing on the ground and 3 scores. In Region 4 3A, it was Watertown extending its winning streak to 4 straight with a 37-0 win over Community. Garrett Davis threw 2 touchdown passes to Carmelo Davis, and both had a rushing touchdown as this one as Watertown picked up its second region win ahead of 3 consecutive road games on its slate before the season finale versus Forest. And then, Green Hill picked up their second region win of the season and moved to 4-2 overall with a comeback victory over Cookeville by a final score of 35-20. The Hawks erased a 6-point halftime and third quarter deficit in this one. UT Martin commitment Cannon Burrows completed 14 of 20 passes for 163 yards and 2 scores. He also had 12 carries for 30 yards and another rushing touchdown in this one. Junior running back Zach Cartwright had 198 yards rushing on 20 carries and a score for the Hawks. In non-region play across Wilson County, it was a historic night for Chuck Gentry at Lebanon as the Blue Devils not only moved to 6-0 with a 7-0 win over Hillsboro, but Gentry moved into second place all-time on the Lebanon wins list with his 58th career win, placing the namesake of their home field, Clifton Tremble. In this one, Jaden Stafford had a rushing touchdown in the first quarter, and Lebanon limited Hillsboro to 153 yards of total offense. Sherelle Simpkins recovered a fumble in this one, and John Binion picked up a interception, his second in as many weeks. Mount Juliet picked up their first win of the season Friday night with a 44-12 win over Northeast on homecoming. J.J. Helm led 4 scoring drives for the Golden Bears in this one, and Miguel Hernandez had 4 sacks in the first half alone against the Eagles. And then rounding out the slate in Wilson County, it was Wilson Central bouncing back from a loss to Cookeville last week. They defeated Overton by a final score of 29-6. Senior running back Chaz Martin had 219 yards rushing on 25 carries and registered a touchdown in this one. Topher Allen also had 9 carries for 85 yards. He had a 9-yard passing touchdown to Trevor Katzenmiller, and he had a reception of 29 yards for a score as well. In Rutherford County, it was Oakland remaining undefeated in beating Blackman 32-0 in a battle of previously unbeaten programs. It was Stewart's Creek also blanking Laverne by a final score of 35-0. It was Rockville defeating Siegel 21-14. It was Riverdale all over Columbia 41-7. Smyrna defeated Calfee County 40-7. It was Middle Tennessee Christian picking up a 28-21 win over Providence Academy. It was PCA downing Franklin County by a final score of 38-15, and it was Richland defeating Eagleville by a final score of 37-7 in Class 1A. That'll do it on the wrap up this week. Looking forward to talking to you guys next week in the first week of October.
And that is this week's high school football wrap-up show. Now, don't forget that Main Street Media TV has football-based shows for high school, college, and the pros lined up for you this season. You can find everything you need to know on your local newspaper's social media pages or by downloading the Main Street Media TV app. And remember that Main Street Media Radio gets your high school football started each week with our Thursday night Game of the Week audio broadcast. And remember that Main Street Media Radio gets your high school football started each week with our Thursday night Game of the Week audio broadcast featuring Wade Neely and Casey Patrick. They will be on the call across Middle Tennessee this season, and you can catch them Thursday nights starting at 6:45 p.m. Also, set your calendar for our weekly high school preview show featuring these same sports editors and sports reporters who are on the field each week sharing your favorite team's action from the sideline. The preview show is scheduled for every Thursday at 1 p.m. during high school football season. All right, we'll see you right back here next Tuesday with the high school football wrap-up show on Main Street Media TV.